Are you on the eat clean to cravings to binge cycle? You know the one where you eat clean for most of the week, maybe even get some exercise in, but then you're really looking forward to the end of the week because you feel you deserve a small treat for all your good efforts. Next thing you know, time seems to slow down and you find yourself white knuckling it, but it's too hard. Then you find that little voice in your head trying to justify why you deserve it. Eventually, you just say, screw it, vowing to start fresh tomorrow. If that's you, then this video is for you because I am taking you through a deep dive walkthrough on the method to breaking those cravings for good. I mean, this is a deep dive so that only time you will want to eat is because you're genuinely hungry and you're in perfect harmony with what your body actually needs. So, first, what it is a craving. A craving is an obsessive yearning for something, in our case, for a specific food or drink. Your mind literally can't ignore the desire for it, and that's usually a sign that something is out of balance. What you need to know is that there are typically three types of craving. So, number one, physical cravings. Physical cravings mean that the signals you are getting are coming from genuine need for fuel for your body. This means you need to understand what your body actually needs to work at its best and in a condition not prone to cravings, right? So for me, this was that I learned that I wasn't eating enough protein, which crashed my blood sugar levels, right? Then there's number two, emotional cravings. Here we're talking about the triggers and food behaviors that are the root causes of your poor food choices, overeating, and cravings, whether they're people or environments that are tied to a strong emotion like anxiety, anger, sadness, boredom, or even celebrating. For me, I realized that so many of my unhealthy food obsessions came particularly from me copying my dad and kind of connecting with him through the experience of enjoying food together. And we both had that commonality of eating to cope with life struggles. Lastly, you have habitual cravings and what I call situational eating. Habitual cravings are very similar to emotional cravings and most likely originally stemmed from an emotional trigger, but now have developed into a pattern of behavior. So, for example, at one stage, I got a habitual craving every weekend evening because I associated it with the happy, cozy feeling of staying up late with my hubby and elder kids watching Netflix movies. Situational eating is when we just default whatever special occasion food we associate with that event, such as the summer annual road trip where you have Cheez-Its, Good and Plenty's, and Coke Zero ready for the ride, or whether it's popcorn at the movies, elephant ears at the county fair, pumpkin spice items in the fall, or my personal weakness, Starbucks toasted white chocolate drink to kick off the festive season. And this isn't all you're facing. Our bodies and nutritional instincts have not caught up to the age that we live in. You're battling your taste desires of your primal caveman DNA that did not include indulging in those insatiable cravings for processed carbs and sugar that at our fingertips without even having to move off the couch. But the survival instinct is still the inside us still burn inside us. Between bombarded with peer pressure, social norms, binge inducing rev advertisements literally everywhere you look, and easy sugar laden takeout options, it's a tough time to have a healthy relationship with food and not fall victim to cravings. So the question is, how do you go about breaking their grip over you? Here's the thing. You cannot stop your craving cycle if you do not know what's causing it. So let's go through those steps. The first step then is to audit where you're at now. In other words, create a food and habits diary and track your food, beverages, physical activity, and exercise. That's including washing the car, walking, hoovering, the whole shebang, as well as your mood around eating for preferably 7 days straight. This audit and tracking process is so powerful that it's become a foundational part of my program because it reveals a roadmap of your emotional journey. In other words, it shows you a clear pattern of one, what foods will trigger your body into craving mode and what will neutralize them. So, for example, if you're starting your day with Fruity Pebbles and a sweet coffee drink from the drive-through, this puts your body into sugar craving mode from the get-go. So you'll already have to gear yourself up to resist those urges until literally you go to sleep. And two, the people you're around, the environments you're in, such as drinks and snacks after work or meeting up with friends over pizza. And three, your personal habits that are helping or hindering you. For example, not eating protein-based breakfast. But let me just pump the brakes there. I just want to say to you that if you feel like you want to take emergency action, like an intervention right now, then you can carry out a mini trigger audit and not go through the full 7 days. This is how you do it. Schedule some quiet, undisturbed time and think on the following questions and be sure to write down your answers. They don't have to be perfect. I just want you to get down your gut feeling thoughts about it. One, what negative habits do you see? And do you see a pattern behind them? Two, what do you think is causing you to make those lifestyle decisions, thus are leaving you feeling like you need to compulsively eat and crave foods? Three, list out any triggers that you can identify as triggering your cravings and are leading you to unnecessary and or are leading you to destructive food and drink choices. Number four, are you restricting food at any point in your day, daily or regularly? So do you undernourish yourself or skip meals? Okay, so once you've completed either the 7-day trigger audit or the mini version, you have the data you need to go to step number two. All right, step number two, let's go to it. Here's the good news. You've now got a good idea where those trigger points are occurring. The next step is to go ahead and get ahead of them before they happen. So how do we do that? It means that you must get prepared. This step is broken into two parts. Adding food into your daily routine that will satiate your body's needs, thereby stopping any chemical cravings before they start, alongside nutrition supportive habits to cement their benefit. And then secondly, creating your environment and mental safety net to support you and successfully take you through your specific set of craving triggers until they are neutralized and you can trust yourself 100% around all your triggers. So let's just remind ourselves here what our goal and transformation is that we are looking for. Because the clearer we define it in a way that is specific, measurable, and achievable, the easier it will be for you to follow through and have a successful outcome. So you can say, I'm going to be craving free and I'll be able to be around food anytime and take a single bite and feel fine. Now let's put timing on it. I'm going to talk about this more in a moment, but for the minute, let's say this. For the next 2 months, I'm going to invest at least 10 to 15 non-negotiable minutes every day to taking the supportive action to stop my cravings for good, enable me to be around any food anytime and take a single bite and feel fine. Okay, so let's circle back to our two-part process, starting with adding foods into your daily diet to stop any chemical cravings before they start. In short, to make sure that you're physically in balance. I'm keeping it simple here today, but if you want to get detailed, then do watch my video, Clean Eating for Beginners 101. You'll see the link below. All right, let's get to it. So number one, be sure that you're eating enough healthy fats. Yes, I know that some of you are shouting out, I can't have fats, they'll make me fat. You may be avoiding fats in a belief that fats will make you fat. If you've ever been a regular in the slimming or diet club world, you may likely be afraid of fats due to their high calorific content. But there's a good reason those fats are high in calories. The majority of my clients see a massive reduction in cravings and overeating the moment they increase beneficial fat content, because fats are an essential part of the diet and they help to satiate hunger and help with the absorption of certain minerals and vitamins that they are needed for a healthy brain and nervous system. And here's the kicker. If fats are missing, the body keeps sending hunger signals, and guess what? Cravings. Also, another huge benefit for you of fats is that they take a long time to be digested. So if you're avoiding fats, you're getting hungrier quicker, which increases snacking and grazing. And that means constantly elevated insulin levels that further imbalance blood sugar, leaving you to guess what? More cravings and possible weight gain. So, what you want to be doing here is adding beneficial fats like nuts and seeds, oily fish such as salmon and mackerel, avocados, olive oil, and cheese to help increase feeling full, reduce cravings, and promote better energy. Caution here though, they are very easy to accidentally overeat. So, take this tip: a serving size of fat is roughly the size of your thumb. So, for example, 2 servings of healthy fats would be a tablespoon of olive oil, or quarter of a whole avocado, or half an ounce of nuts. All right, so number 2 is healthy carbohydrates. Did you see what I said there? Healthy carbohydrates. Okay, so I know some of you might be freaking out again. I'm there, I'm right there with you. Here's the thing: many people avoid carbs as they believe that carbs will make them gain weight and that carbs are bad. I know, I've been there. But unfortunately, carbs have actually had a bad rep, even though they're an essential part of our diet and are needed for primary energy, brain function, and fuel to exercise. Most importantly, for your cravings, they help regulate your blood sugar levels and your hunger hormones. Many quick result fad diets suggesting cutting carbs out because they, especially with things like keto and that type of diet lifestyle. But it really hasn't helped. If you're avoiding carbs, you may likely to be overeating and binging because you don't have that balance. Okay. So, beware. Additionally, by cutting out an entire food group, you are likely to become deficient in certain minerals, vitamins, and fiber, which again, you guessed it, trigger cravings and overeating. Just make a note to yourself to be vigilant about how much of the stuff you're eating, because again, as with the fats, it's easy to overeat carbohydrates. Heavy foods have them, and even the healthy carbohydrates can put those calories on. A good rule of thumb is 1 serving of starchy carbohydrate. That's 1 cup uncooked or 2 cups uncooked. The example of this would be 1 to 2 slices of sprouted grain bread, a quarter of brown rice, or half a cup of oatmeal. Okay, so let's get to number 3, my favorite: protein. Let me tell you, protein is your best friend, both in breaking cravings and maintaining a healthy weight. Bluntly speaking, it fills you up. It's so good for you. Your body uses protein to rebuild your muscles and keeps you strong, especially if you're exercising or strength training regularly. My recommendation to you is to commit to memory the cue that with every meal, get 1 serving of whole food protein in it. Okay. To do this, you're looking to increase your intaking of healthy protein, and good sources are easy. Okay. They're eggs, lean meats, corn, legumes, fish, and shellfish. So legumes like beans and whatnot. What does that intake look like? For guys, it's 1 to 2 servings, which is equivalent of 2 palms. And for us ladies, it's 1 serving. That's the size of your 1 palm. For example, 1 serving of lean protein, such as cooked egg, would be 30 ounces. 2 eggs or half a block of tofu will set you right. But let me repeat, protein consumption should be something that's prioritized if you're committed to stopping your craving cycle for good. And as well, if you're trying to lose weight, build muscle, have energy, and be healthier. Remember, by adjusting your diet, you're supporting your goal. So trust the process, even if it goes against your old food narratives. And if you're looking for more support and accountability, I've done all the heavy lifting for you inside my healthy lifestyle transformation program. We have everything you need to know on the ins and outs for your supportive nutrition. You'll find the link below. Okay, so let's move on to part 2 of getting prepared to stopping your cravings, which, to recap, is to create your environmental and mental safety net that will be there to support you as you move through the process of breaking those cravings. Okay, so here we loop back to our trigger audit from step 1, or the mini audit. You are now in an empowered position because you have a bunch of incredibly valuable data. This will form the basis of your personalized plan to both prevent and guide you on what to do when you hit those triggers, whether they're people, habits, food deficiencies, or environments. So you'll know exactly what to do and what to avoid and what good choices to make instead. Okay, time to take action. So look through your data and look for patterns. Identify any possible scenarios and events that could derail your efforts to break those cravings. Create solutions to help you sidestep those possible situations ahead of time and write them down. Be clear, be prepared. Let's take a look at the most common sabotaging factors and mindsets that you should look to uncover and really look through when you're looking through your data. I'm going to break them up into tips. Tip number one, interacting with people and situations and how you are going to handle food pushes, peer pressure, and comments about your food. So, for example, what if your friend at work pleaded with you to try the new sugary options at Starbucks, and how would you handle this? What if your flatmate, partner, or other family member brought back a takeaway for dinner as a surprise? Really take that into account, write down something. Again, in my course, I cover even what to say. Tip two, are you skipping breakfast? Check that out. Many people I work with have a belief that if they skip breakfast or eat very little for breakfast, they are saving calories for later, that they are allowed to eat more. Skipping breakfast can lead to blood sugar imbalances, which lead to, guess what? Cravings, binge eating, and overeating. If you're someone who's looking to fast in the morning because you've suffered from destructive cravings, you're better served to put that goal on the back burner until you've cured your cravings cycle. Personally, if I didn't eat in the morning, I was setting myself up for failure of unwanted cravings, emotional eating, and overeating later on in my day. Now, though, totally different story. I'll get up 7, 8 o'clock, put in a hard exercise session, go about my morning, take care of my kids, and I'm right as rain. Trust me, though, you need to do the first step first and make sure that you break those cravings and that you can do it confidently. Okay, on to tip three. Do you have the mindset that you can only eat when you are hungry? This belief often comes from diet culture and the idea that you should only eat when you're really hungry and that you should be able to control your hunger and not let it control you. This can also be mistaken for intuitive eating, where you may think that eating when you are ravenous is actually listening to your body's signals. The problem is, in fact, the time to respond to your body's signals was when it was getting gently nudged, not screaming for food. I'm sure you've experienced that feeling of being really hangry and unable to feel satiated no matter what you eat. So, this is what you have to be really, really careful of. It will come in time. It is a practice. I know that I have more than a few, that's happened to me for more of a few times. And so, if you're like me, give me a heck yeah down the comments below. Point that I'm making is waiting until you're really hungry often leads to overeating because your body is trying to make up for those missed meals. This sparks you to crave quick foods that usually aren't too good for you and actually trigger your blood sugar deregulation roller coaster. Here's what to do to prevent this. Instead of waiting until you're hungry to eat and can't focus on much else, try and eat every 3 to 4 hours to keep your hunger levels in check. This doesn't mean you need to eat a full meal. You can have a substantial snack or a light meal or a slight snack, but just don't trip off your crash craving button. Okay, so tip four. For habitual cravings like my old habit of Netflix movies and a bowl of ice cream, plan ahead for a healthy snack. I've changed mine now to freshly whipped with cream with fruit. And there are other things that we can talk about here, and so talking about getting physically balanced and resetting my body to a condition not prone to cravings. So now I just don't suffer them. I don't need to eat that at all. So you can do this if you're having cravings every night, which I was afflicted with. Be sure to schedule an hour after dinner to eat a healthy that will diminish stronger cravings later that night. I'm going to leave a link below so that you can nab my healthy snacks and late night treat guide to help you get started. Okay, it will help you break the cycle. Okay, so on to tip 5. Check your quality of sleep and your sleep habits and patterns. Why is this important? Well, there are two main reasons. First, lack of sleep or poor sleep wears down your mental resilience to cope with daily stresses of life, which in turn tends to lead to poor nutritional decisions that lean more towards comfort craving foods, which in turn keep you locked in that craving cycle. Secondly, there is a biological reason why it's super important to improve sleep to prevent cravings. And that is that sleep deprivation can impair glucose metabolism and affect your hormones linked to hunger, appetite, and weight regulation. Science shows us that without enough sleep, people tend to overeat and choose unhealthy foods, especially high calorie foods. Sleep deprivation affects the body's release of ghrelin and leptin, two neurotransmitters that tell the brain when to consume calories. When you experience sleep deprivation, it affects the way leptin is released, which causes our brain to override the other signals to tell us that our body is actually full. The other neurotransmitter, ghrelin, the hormone that tells your brain, I'm hungry, also goes haywire. Just one night of bad sleep can send ghrelin through the roof, leading you to feel more hungry and more prone to wanting those cravings to tuck in. In short, get too little sleep and we start to confuse tiredness for hunger. A good indication of this is if you're tempted to keep snacking after a balanced dinner. That may be a sign that your body needs to rest, so double down on your sleep hygiene. If you feel like this could be a trigger for your cravings, I've got you. Check out my video link below on how to perfect and optimize your sleep with a science-supported walkthrough and toolkit to fall asleep faster, stay deeply asleep longer, and overall achieve better quality of sleep. Oh, and not forgetting how to recover from a poor night's sleep, jet lag, and so on, so that those pesky cravings don't jump in and get the better of you. All righty, on to tip 6. And this one may be surprising. Exercise. So first, let me share this with you. Exercise is scientifically proven to reduce your body's cravings for crappy food and reset it to crave nourishing foods, and B, help the brain reset and resist wanting to eat specifically junk food. Your best friend is short bursts of cardio resistance training because less blood flow to the gut translates into fewer hunger sensations. Just make sure that you're getting that balanced nutrition that I've been talking about here today. The key takeaway here is regular exercise can reduce how much you'll have those cravings, particularly for junk foods, as well as improving your ability to resist the temptation in the first place. It is a win-win. Okay, tip 7. So this loops back to part 1 of this step 2, where I shared with you the importance of adding food into your daily routine that will satiate your body's needs, thereby stopping any chemical cravings before they start. So to help you do this, spend a little time planning ahead and grocery shopping for nutritious meals, including breakfast and snacks. Very important throughout the week. I'll drop a link below with my process to do that because, especially for time crunch folks who are juggling a lot of commitments and obligations, this can feel overwhelming to get it started. All right, tip 8. Have a master list of what I call healthy craving foods. So as you transition from being plagued by cravings to completely free of them, you will need your go-to of craving busters to balance you out. Again, just to remind you, I have a guide of savory and sweet eats to crush those cravings in the link below. Okay, so the next question I get asked a lot is, on average, how long does it take to stop having cravings? So for me, it took some time because I couldn't find a clear resource. So I practiced, I messed up, I practiced some more, tried different things because, I was a hardcore craver, kid you not. Is there such a word as a car craver? I don't know. When I nailed it, I reverse engineered it into the formula I have today, which has been successful for family, friends, and clients. And that experience shows, as does research-backed studies, that on average, it takes around 21 days to turn your goal of breaking your cravings with the actions discussed here into a new habit. But New habits are still not automatic and need to be supported by implementing routine-based and time-based cues. From there, it takes around 66 days for new craving crushing behaviors to become automatic and transforms into a daily routine and permanent lifestyle change. But depending on the person, it can take anything from 18 to 254 days. Now, at this point of the video, you might be wondering, great, I've got a plan on how to stop my cravings, but now how do I specifically break my really bad sugar, carb, and junk food cravings? That's why your next step is to watch Stop Your Sugar Cravings and Break Your Sugar Addiction Naturally, where I'll teach you how to ditch your cravings to processed sugars and carbs, as well as junk foods, for good, without the need for willpower, restrictions, fad diets, fancy equipment, or overwhelming plans, and have you making healthy choices on autopilot. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.